Pokemon is like the one media franchise that is literally relevant no matter what, and I definitely enjoy Pokemon, of course. I've had my fun growing up with the games more passively, but it's kind of weird too because I've been a lot more into the spin-off series, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, ever since I downloaded Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gates of Infinity on my 3DS when I was 14, all the way back in 2020. Yeah, remember when the 3DS eShop was a thing? Anyways, I've been drawn to this sub-series of games. What can I say? Early teen years are a difficult and confusing time, and I found myself really drawn to the escapist isekai premise of the games. And the thing I loved the most was its Warrior Cat style fandom with all the roleplay groups, OCs, and especially webcomics. And yeah, I wanted to do my own one of these at the time. I had no actual story ideas, I just liked Pokemon Mystery Dungeon and wanted to make my own Mystery Dungeon story. And this led to my first two main Pokemon Mystery Dungeon OCs. Damien, the human, but he's like, he got turned into a Totodile, it's totally sick. And then Hermitas, what is he called? A Chespin. He is a Chespin, and he is the partner. Partner in more ways than one, because they are gay. They are homosexual. I'm really energetic in this recording. I don't know what I've been doing. I'm sorry, every video I try to go with a different direction, so, get used to that. I'm inconsistent. I don't really know what the implications are of a human-turned Pokemon being with a normal Pokemon. I was 14, please don't read into it too much, but basically the dynamic was more the arrogant Totodile Damien who resented his circumstances and this new world around him, and Hermitas, who was this extreme fanboy of the stories of people being sent from the human world to save the day and obsesses over Damien's mere presence. There was also the evil team, who were less villains and more just general inconveniences and maybe rivals at best. Env, gee, I sure do wonder what that name is short for, who just absolutely despises the concept of the Pokemon world being dependent on humans and wants to become the greater hero himself, absolute narcissist. And his two lackeys, Vessel, an awkward Zorua who is just sort of dragged along, and Benoit, a kid who doesn't really understand what's happening and was kidnapped by Env before he was born. Effectively making Vessel and Env Benoit's adoptive parents, which makes me wonder how long Env has been at this, since I imagine the entire cast is like 15? How long have they had this child with them? Anyways, they're just a general band of little evil misfit scrunglies who want to mess with the protagonist, and I think they'd end up accidentally being the catalyst for the main events of the story, which would be some grand, greater evil. I have no idea what it would be. I was making up the story as I went along. The story didn't get very far, as you can imagine from that alone. The only two chapters, which I bundled together as one a while back when I posted it to my DeviantArt. Well, there was also a Human World prologue chapter I never ended up posting, mainly because it was 11 pages of literally nothing but a dragged out description of a regular school day with nothing interesting happening whatsoever. The reason I wrote it that way was because in 8th grade, my English teacher told me I needed more detail in my writing, and I exaggerated this to the most agonizing degree possible. That was just a general thing about me at the time. I took advice very far. Example, the majority of my OCs would end up only having like 4 colors in their palette, just because people on the internet are like, oh yeah, you shouldn't use like crazy palettes, you should do something more limited. But honestly, I guess the color thing isn't that bad, since that can be considered stylistic, definitely. And it ended up helping me a ton in the long run, since it let me focus on what colors were actually important for my palette to have. I need to talk about Benoit one second. So I have no idea what sparked this, but basically I tried to, and this was like the first Benoit OC I made, because basically whenever I make a new series or I make OCs in a given fandom, I always try to make sure that at least one of the OCs in that respective, like whatever it is a purple bat character or purple bat themed character, usually named Benoit. So like there are just a bunch of different OCs that have like these similar traits and usually share the same name, but are just completely different. And yeah, Benoit is definitely one of my favorite joke OCs for that reason alone. I occasionally post the OCs I made for this series, and by OCs, I really just mean the 2 protagonists exclusively. I think it'd be fun to make a story revolving around Env, because I just really like arrogant narcissist characters. I find them really fun to write. But yeah, it's kind of it's kind of weird. I thought of this as like my big main thing, like big main series at the time, but yeah, it never really went anywhere. So that leaves the next Pokemon Mystery Dungeon fanfiction. And that wouldn't be until 2024. That's right, I had to let this baby simmer for a couple years before I would tackle writing fanfiction about this series again. Basically, 2024 was a big creative burnout period for me, and I struggled to come up with any stories whatsoever. So what I did decide to do was make a low-ambition fanfic based on Pokemon again. This time it was based on Gen 2, specifically the Game Boy versions, because I played those on Virtual Console when I was 15. I never actually finished my playthrough, but around the time I was writing this fanfiction, obviously before, I randomly started playing it again and picked up where I left off. And I wrote a story about where I was in the game, where the male player character, Gold, was in this point of the game, till he finds himself getting turned into a Pokemon. No way! Is it, I think this, I think this might be a Mystery Dungeon reference, guys. Wait, is this a Pokemon Sorry. The story starts recounting the events of the game up until that point. Gold going to Professor Elm's lab and getting the Master Ball, but still wanting the 3rd starter Pokemon that nobody got, Cyndaquil. And he gets into this entire argument with the professor about how much he should have the Pokemon, which is totally not blatant foreshadowing of him getting turned into one. The premise of the story was that Gold, Silver, and Crystal all got turned into the Gen 2 starters, except not the ones they picked. For the record, I haven't read the Pokemon Adventures manga, so the characterization is pretty different. Oh, this fanfiction was just barely made before the leak, so yeah, that is so fun. The story also features one of my oldest Mystery Dungeon OCs, and a lowland Sandslash named Delisk. Except this is like a prequel for the character, I guess, since he's just a Sandshrew in this story. Yeah, that's another thing. I'm pretty sure all 3 of these fanfics are set in the same universe. I'm not entirely sure about the 3rd one, but we'll get into that. Oh, actually, wait. Well, one note. This is going to be completely improvised. Earlier, I said that Damien and Hermitas were my first Mystery Dungeon OCs, and I realized, no, it's actually Delisk. I'm very sorry. I lied to you guys. I apologize for lying about my Mystery Dungeon OCs. That's very beneath me. This story didn't get very far. I honestly might write a 3rd chapter in it, but it was mainly just to get me through a general creative block. So, anyways, moving on to... Alright, this one wasn't just written by me. It was written by 4 of my other friends who also contributed to this story, who will remain private for reasons I will be discussing. But I love talking about this fanfic because it's pretty funny. This is what me and my friends refer to as the crackfic, where... I'm sorry. Basically, one of my friends was pretty depressed and scared, and he was like, "Man, I hate the world. I want to be a Pokemon." Because he was pretty ADHD, hyper-focused on I wrote it as PMD in the script. He was pretty hyper-focused on Pokemon Mystery Dungeon at the time, and I was like, sure, let's do that. So a separate friend opened a Google Doc, and we all wrote on it together. It was a group of 5 fresh out of high school 18-year-olds who were trying to make each other laugh. It goes without saying that this is absolutely the most crass thing I have ever worked on. Most of us weren't taking it seriously, like, at all, but me having other fanfic experience, I decided to cook occasionally with the writing style. It's just a really basic Pokemon Mystery Dungeon premise, except it's 5 humans getting turned into Pokemon with amnesia, and they don't know that they were friends in the human world. It's the most generic plot you can imagine for this type of game, except we just add random goofy stuff to make it funnier. Oh, and yeah, my friends thought it would be absolutely hilarious, just off the walls bonkers, to write me in the story, committing kidnapping in addition to breaking and entering in the story. In Pokemon, of course. We all had this fun conversation about which Pokemon we'd be. I already had a Blaziken Sona at the time, so they were like, yeah, that fits you, because I'm an energetic hype man, yeah, fighting fire. No, no, I'm not fighting the fire, I'm fighting fire type. Wait, no, I'm not, oh, you know what I mean, But the other friends were the protagonists, Eevee, as well as Mareep, Squirtle, and Vulpix, but I usually refer to them as their fully evolved counterparts because that's normally how I draw them, with this being a weird exception. Vulpix chose to write himself getting mugged by the Corridor Nidoran, which is a reference to a really old analog horror parody I did back in 2021, but that's a completely separate story. When asking my two friends who worked on the story if they'd be cool being included in the art, Vulpix told me, quote, "As long as you make me look really cool, funny, smart, heroic, awesome, and hot." And I didn't really know how to apply those traits to a Vulpix, so I made them read a philosophy book, but there wasn't enough space to write philosophy, so instead I made them read Philo-Soapy. And I know that's just such a dumb joke, but that combined with the fact that he genuinely looks like he's struggling to read it just makes it peak comedy. I absolutely love this part of the drawing. Oh, and Eevee asked me to add Clubba. Clubba is a Fennekin. I will provide no additional context. Mystery Dungeon is a series I have extremely fond memories of. I've only played the 3DS games, but I still love to explore the rest of the series. And certain songs from the games, particularly Gates to Infinity, give me a honestly painful degree of nostalgia. It's the only real part of the Pokemon series I'm seriously invested in. Like, I'm a fan of the main series, but always from a distance, you know? That being said, I'm incredibly excited for Legends ZA, especially for Chikorita being in it, and the trainers having extremely similar jackets of my mascot, so it's literally perfect. I don't know if I'll play it myself, since I haven't really played any of the Pokemon Switch games, but I am very happy it exists. My 3DS has a broken hinge, and Gates to Infinity was installed on it digitally, so I can't really comfortably do a new playthrough of that game, but I love both mainline and the sub-series. Besides that, I'll just shamelessly plug my other social medias. I have a DeviantArt and Tumblr, so if you're interested in my OC Yap stuff, I have those over there. Check it out. Oh, and if you'd like to read either of the two public fanfictions mentioned, then you can find them on my AO3 account. And if there's enough people interested in my fanfictions, then I might start posting some of my other fanfic stuff on that website. You can also find Shining Hearts on my DeviantArt, but that was posted a long time ago, so you have to sift through all my galleries to find it, so I don't really know about that. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say about my old fanfictions. Mystery Dungeon is such a simple premise, and I think it makes great for fanfictions. I remember back in 2021 obsessively reading certain Mystery Dungeon fanfictions, or specifically fan comics, and if you're the type of person who also wrote these types of fanfictions, please tell me about yours. That's all I really have to say here, so thank you! Oh, and subscribing would be really nice of you. Okay, bye! That sounded way too aggressive. I'm sorry. Goodbye.